There's such a rich musical history surrounding the Ryman Auditorium. As you stood there performing your songs on that historical stage where all the legends have stood, were you overwhelmed by that? I mean, you had to have just totally been blown away that you were actually there.
Yeah, before the show, I remember there was another girl who I sang with quite a bit when I was back starting out, and the band had rehearsed, and it was at the time it was Amy Grant's band that was playing for me at the Ryman, and so right before the doors opened, everybody had left the stage, and the Ryman was empty, and it was just the two of us. And I remember we sat out, and I was sitting on the drum riser, and she was sitting on the other side, and we just looked out in the audience, and we turned, and we just looked at each other, and we just said, are you serious? Are we really getting to do this? This is really awesome, and for it to be packed and a sellout, and the people at the Ryman were just so excited to get to do it, because they were like, this is really, this doesn't ever really happen, so this is a really cool thing that's getting ready to happen here.
And what year was your debut CD released?
You know what? I think it came out at the beginning of 2001.
And since then, how many releases have you had?
Gosh, I think I've had, altogether, there's been 5 records that have come out. One of them's a live DVD and 4 studio projects, and we're working on the 5th one.
Your last album, released in 2006, was entitled Broken and Beautiful.
Yeah.
It was a successful album. It's received a lot of airplay on Christian radio. But one song in particular I'd like to get some inside perspective from you is a song entitled Everything to Me. This song, the way I understand it, is written for mothers who have chosen adoption versus abortion, kind of maybe, and something you understand having been adopted, and it's a way of saying thanks for choosing life. Tell me about that song and how it came to be.
Yeah, I thought it would be great to write a song to my birth mom, who I've never met before, to say, the older I get, the more I realize that the biggest decision that was ever made in my life was the one you made to let me live.
Right.
And which is such a, it's an honor for me to even be alive, because she could have chosen a different route, which I wouldn't be talking to you right now.
Exactly.
Just a way to tell her thank you, and then to say, at some point in time, my dream is that I meet you in heaven, and
wow.
And you get to see my life and see how it unfolded, and you get to read the book of my life and go, oh my gosh, you got to do this, you got to do that, you were a part of this, and for her to know that I'm doing now singing and doing concerts, writing songs that uplift people and are inviting them more richly into Christ, and for people to be involved in that. And so, for me, it's great that she gets to make such a huge impact by one decision that she made. And so that's what the song's all about. And it's really neat to play it in concert and have the people come to the table afterwards and say, you know what, I was adopted, or we're thinking about adopting, and this song has really been an inspiration to us to move us forward.
Fantastic.
It's been really awesome.
Your performance on Broken and Beautiful has garnered you another GMA Dove Award nomination for Male Vocalist of the Year. As far as the Dove Awards go, what's your thoughts and feelings on those? It's got to feel good to be told that your peers appreciate your work.
Yeah, it's nice. I always joke about the Dove Awards. I just think they always, I smile every time. I mean, I'm grateful that they get nominated and for something, but my perfect idea for the Dove Awards would be no awards. We just show up,
right,
and we sing praise and worship songs, and collectively, or as artists coming together to lift God's name up. So I always kind of cringe at the idea of winning an award in the Christian music industry, but always, I'm happy that I've had a project that people deem, hey, that was special and meant a lot. So.
I Testify Online was created with several missions in mind, one of which was to support God's persecuted church. For that very reason, the Violet Cross Ministry has been created, and I Testify Online is the home of the Violet Cross Ministry. With the Violet Cross Ministry, we manufacture special handmade wooden cross figurines. These crosses stand 12 inches high on a beveled base with a felted bottom. We sell these wooden crosses and give the proceeds to organizations who print and distribute Bibles into the underground church in restricted nations. In America, we are so free that many times we take for granted the luxury we have in owning our own Bibles. God's children living in persecution in the underground church thirst for His Word, and it is our mission and our goal that His voice be heard. So please help us support God's dear ones in captivity. Visit the merchandise section in our online store here at I Testify Online and consider purchasing one of our crosses for Bibles. God bless you.
We're back with Mark Schultz, the 2008 GMA nominee for Male Vocalist of the Year. Mark, I understand that you have a couple of projects in the works, a new CD and a book.
Yeah, writing new songs for a new record, and writing a book about my experiences about riding my bike across the country. And, in that, it's in the format of almost a devotional, because it's amazing when you're on a bicycle and you're riding 100 miles a day, you've got plenty of time to think.
I bet.
And so it's these thoughts that I had as I was riding my bike across the country, and that turned out to be, some of them were fairly dismissive. You could just go, well, you're just out of your mind when you were riding your bike and it was hot that day. But some of them were some really pretty deep thoughts that I felt like God was definitely in, and some of it's just a book about some funny stuff that happened along the way. And so it's going to be a real neat book when it's finished. It's almost done, and that'll come out, I think, around here in 6 months or so.
Well, since we're speaking about the book, maybe we ought to back up and explain to those listening about your bike ride across the United States and what that was about.
Summer, I rode my bicycle from California to New Hampshire, pedaled across the country, and rode 3,500 miles, did 13 concerts.
Wow.
Gave all the money that we raised to the James Fund, and which is an organization that helps widows and orphans, as well as Bethany. And the whole thing was we raised $250,000 for widows and orphans.
Oh, really?
Bike ride across the country this summer.
Well, that is a huge amount of money on a very, very long distance. I sure hope you had a good bike.
Great bike. Trek sponsored it and gave me a better bike than I deserve, and took a bus out and slept in the bus every night, and it was a great experience.
Right.
And I didn't know if I could do it, but we did it, and like I say, raised a lot of money and awareness for widows and orphans.
Now, Mark, when it comes time to record your CD, I assume that you always record in Nashville.
Yeah, the last time I recorded, the guy who recorded my record was my neighbor. He's a great, Sean Shankle's a great producer, and so, man, that was a dream to be able to get a cup of coffee and walk across my yard and record, and then just walk back across the yard and be done for the day. So
right.
I think we may do that again. I don't live there anymore, but still, it still is fun for me to go back to Nashville.
Mark, it sounds like things are certainly on track in your life. God has richly blessed you. You have an amazing talent, and I think He's pleased with what you've done with it. You certainly do praise Him with it, and you uplift our spirits as we listen to you on the radio and buy your CDs. I want to thank you for coming on I Testify Online. It's been a real pleasure.
Thanks, Ivan.
God bless you, Mark, and I wish you continued success.
Okay, bye-bye.
We hope you've enjoyed this broadcast and maybe know a little bit more about Mark Schultz. He's a fantastic talent. Go out and buy some of his CDs and be watching for his new book. It's going to come out probably this summer sometime about his bike trip. It should be fantastic. And if you haven't done so already, sign up for our newsletter. We'll send you notifications of new broadcasts as we post them. Take care. See you next time. God bless.